Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for doing this markup, and I do want to call up an amendment, which I won't ask to have a vote on, but amendment number 1 is with Senators Roberts and Portman, and it would incorporate into the bill before us the 8 tax permanency measures that have already passed the House of Representatives this year. All 8 of these provisions included in today's mark in temporary form. My amendment would simply make them permanent. These are measures that have significant bipartisan support, such as making the R&D tax credit permanent, making the higher Section 179 small business expensing limits permanent, and making the special rules for conservation easements permanent. In total, these provisions provide taxpayers with roughly $315 billion in tax relief over the next 10 years relative to current law. But in reality, my amendment simply acknowledges what we all know. Now, these are popular provisions that Congress is going to extend year after year. Even in the face of a presidential veto, earlier this year, 37 House Democrats voted in favor of making the research credit permanent, and 33 House Democrats voted in favor of making the $500,000 small business expensing limit permanent. If the President wants to veto these measures, he can do so, but I believe Congress ought to be on record for an honest baseline for tax reform and tax policies that give taxpayers certainty that they can plan for. Now, some, Mr. Chairman, will object to making these measures permanent because they lose revenue. But I want to point out again that is the case only against a current law baseline. If you assume that Congress is going to continue to extend these provisions year after year, then there's no cost. In other words, against a baseline that actually reflects reality, there is no cost to the Federal Treasury. And we should acknowledge that many of the temporary provisions that we're extending today have been around for a decade or more and are in fact temporary in name only. Now, while I realize that today's markup is only a temporary extension of expired provisions, I hope that we will have an opportunity on the Senate floor to debate the merits of making many of these items permanent. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will, because this is outside the scope of the markup today, withdraw that amendment, but I think it's really important that we debate permanent tax law that provides the certainty, the predictability, and the reliability in policy that people around the country need if they're going to invest. Thank you.